The Democratic Republic of the Congo will hold an election in December, hopefully leading to a peaceful democratic transfer of power for the first time in the country's history. Sitting President Joseph Kabila came to power in 2001, having succeeded his father, Laurent Desire Kabila, after his assassination. Joseph Kabila was elected as president in 2006 for a 5-year term and re-elected in 2011. Though his second term ended in 2016, and the DRC constitution prevents him from seeking a third term, elections were not held, and Kabila remained in power.
The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released the first part of its latest assessment report. The Earth is warming. Even with a drastic reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, temperatures will probably be 1.5 degrees Celsius above their late 19th century levels by 2050. Climate change is underway, the report laments, with all the environmental consequences that brings. The extent of the damage depends on the cumulative buildup of emissions and can be limited if the world strives for net zero carbon emissions.
Let's imagine a scenario where a college student is running late for class. Nu J, who happens to be the student's current teacher, has learned about nonviolent communication and understands that it begins with making clear observations. During this observation, Nu J focuses on identifying tangible facts that are happening in the present moment. Nu J notes down that and arrived 20 minutes late and notices that his pulse is elevated, potentially indicating stress. When it comes to recognizing his own emotions, Nu J connects with his heart and strives to comprehend the various underlying feelings. This step is crucial because what initially appears as anger might actually be sadness. It is essential to differentiate between feelings and thoughts during this process.
Heart and blood vessel diseases continue to claim more lives, not just in our country but worldwide, surpassing all other causes combined. Astonishingly, these diseases are largely preventable for almost everyone and can even be reversed. Over the past 29 years, we have demonstrated the power of simple, low-cost interventions by implementing dietary and lifestyle changes. Despite the availability of sophisticated and expensive state-of-the-art measures like quantitative arteriography and cardiac PET scans, we have shown that these straightforward and affordable interventions can effectively halt or reverse the progression of conditions such as prostate cancer.
In the last 4 decades, the American government has implemented regulations aimed at enhancing environmental protection and safeguarding the rights of minority groups, female workers, and consumers. These regulations have resulted in the development of numerous laws and regulatory bodies, some of which have led to extreme policies. For instance, a previous example highlighted the restriction of an employer's ability to select employees based on their sex or race, resulting in opponents arguing that individualism has been compromised due to these new laws. Conversely, proponents of anti-discrimination assertively challenge the traditional division of occupational roles between men and women.
Furthermore, the collision of two tectonic plates, which gives rise to mountains, also causes fractures and cracks in the rock, weakening its structure and exposing it to erosion. Over millions of years, the repeated cycle of freezing and thawing widens these cracks, while wind and water erode the slopes, and glaciers and streams carve deep valleys into the mountainside, gradually weakening its support. This process can have dire consequences, as exemplified by the 1991 incident when the peak of Aoraki Mount Cook in New Zealand collapsed overnight, reducing its height from 3,764 m to 3,754 m. Considering the various factors that restrict mountain height, such as subduction, fractures, and erosion, it is unlikely that our tallest mountains will significantly exceed their current heights.
To effectively manage my expenses related to car-sharing apps, I made a few changes. Firstly, I disconnected my credit card and linked a debit card with a monthly limit of $300. If I needed to exceed this amount, I had to go through the process of adding a new card. I recognize that every click and barrier alters our behavior, as we are not machines. We don't carry an abacus to constantly calculate our expenses in comparison to our desires. However, our brains excel at tallying the number of times we engage in certain activities. By imposing a limit on myself and restricting the use of ride-sharing apps to 3 times a week, I forced myself to ration my travels. This adjustment benefited both my finances and the environment, as well as my husband.